And we're live
Johnny B and the Cheese.
from the basement.
Live from the basement. Talking about money.
Talking about money
We're
today.
just going to have a short conversation about money and our goals and where we're trying to go moving into the future, especially into this next decade. Brand new decade. I want to be rich. We all want to be rich.
Yes.
And specifically trying to get to that first $1 million in the next 10 years.
How do we do this efficiently? That's the question.
I feel like there's lots of ways. We just really, for people who, let's just say gumption, who have the gumption. They just have to sit down and do it.
They do. It's something you have to be consistent with as well.
It doesn't matter in particular or exactly what it is. There are lots of ways to get to that $1 million, but you've got to do one thing, long enough to get there.
That's true. If you don't stick it out, you're probably not going to get to that that threshold where the money starts coming in at such a rate that you're actually profiting and you're not continuously putting your money back into something and then having to pull it back out and then put it back into something.
I think that it's best to choose something that fits your personality, Like for me, I need instant gratification. That's one reason why I like working outside, working with my hands, because I see that instantly I've made a change. It's better. And I think you get that from retail too. You've kind of instantly made someone's day better depending on what you do.
No, you definitely do.
Yeah. So
it's all happening in real time. You're not waiting for a result. I mean, there is an end result at the, final moment of the transaction, but up until that point, you're continuing to get confirmation that what you're doing is in the right direction. So there's something interesting about that, how we feed off of that energy, and maybe you have to pursue something that's going to have that same kind of feedback loop.
Exactly.
So that you want to keep doing it every day. Otherwise, You're going to fucking get bored or overwhelmed, or the stress isn't worth the energy that you're having to put into it.
Like, you got to feel excited about it. And that's a thing that people have told us for years. You got to do something that you feel excited about. You wake up and you're like, you jump out of bed, and it's hard to find. It's hard to find that thing. And that's why you got to try so many different things, I guess, and just introduce yourself shotgun style, to
that's kind of what I do.
I
just keep jumping into new shit. I go a little extreme for a while, and if I don't like it, it fades out. But if I do, I try and incorporate it. And then if I'm getting enough sleep, I keep up on my ritual or whatever pattern I've attempted to develop. I think my body will just naturally gravitate towards stuff, and that's where I need to fix things. I need to start. I need to have like a calendar and use Google's tools more efficiently on my phone. Make a fucking plan. That's my biggest issue. Is you got to plan that shit out. See a trail. Follow it. It doesn't have to be glued to your ass, but at least that way you can, if something happens to veer, you know where to go back to. Or if you're doing something cooler and you're like, fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore, we're going this route for this moment, you can still go back to that other point.
I'm starting to think, or believe rather, that planning is not that important. Not so much as the passion itself. Like, if you want to do something bad enough, you'll do it. And it doesn't matter if it's at the same time every day or whatever. On average, you get it done. And that's kind of...
I think the passion is definitely more important than the plan, because if you're not willing to do it, you're kind of fucked. It's just an idea then.
Like, just in terms of how... us, for example, how we kind of learn and educate ourselves. We don't sit down at the same hour every day. It's just picked up throughout the day as we go, reading our feed or whatever. So a plan is definitely nice, but finding that thing that you really want to do, I think, is a little bit more important. And maybe even planning takes away from that passion a little bit. Have you ever considered that idea?
I suppose if you dried yourself out by making it such a brittle and boring experience, then you're like, fuck this, I'm done, I'm out, I don't want to do it anymore.
Like making it too rigid of an experience.
Corporate.
I like the idea of saying I'm going to do this today, but not necessarily a when.
Gotcha. Because, then there's this stress. Like, I got 3 o'clock, man. Yeah, that's the moment. That's exactly it. I have 3 o'clock. Fucking everything else doesn't matter.
And then you get to 3 o'clock and you're like, all right, I'm here. I better perform, because this is the time that I have scheduled for this. I'm not going to have any more time the rest of the day, so I better be creative right now, or, whatever you're trying to do in that instance. And, that's not always realistic either. So Yeah, they tried to teach us a lot of stuff growing up, and just to go back to the financial aspect of it moving forward, um, you got to learn to be flexible. You got to learn to think outside the box, not do what everyone says to do.
Yeah,
Going into credit card
yeah.
debt is both a bad idea, but also something that's necessary. Like, you should have a credit card, but you should only use your reoccurring expenses because you need to build credit. Having credit is important, especially if you're trying to build wealth in the real estate market. Like, you need to have good credit so you can apply for a loan, right?
No, definitely. That's why I've always focused on
Yeah.
my credit score and not being late on my bills,
Yeah, exactly.
paying extra on my bills to beat down the principal.
And so, like, all that stuff is really, really important. But having a maxed out credit card, one that's at like, two, three, $10,000, is gonna hurt you a lot, especially in the interest. It's gonna be a huge expense every month that you don't need.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just one example. Like, they told you to keep a credit card, but they didn't give you the details of how and why to use it.
Yeah, no, they definitely don't. They're just like, here's your rates. Have fun, fucker. Here's what we'll do for you if you go on a spending spree.
I can't think of when a
2%.
credit card would be useful. Like, if you should have a savings.
You can pull money out of it. There's just a lot of reasons a credit card's useful, especially for protection. If I just want to buy something that's like, I want the layer of security that I used my credit card to buy it. I didn't go spend direct cash off of my debit card or whatever, where it's much more like, I'm fucked. They have my money. This is all right. We need to file a dispute.
But
Credit company
credit card
gets involved.
fraud, yeah, it's the same with your bank.
I just, one more layer, man.
My bank actually will pause my debit card if I'm making too many irregular purchases. Like, sometimes around this time of the year, when Steam has the Steam sale,
Oh, you just start going hammer.
I won't always buy them all in one transaction. I'll buy like a $5 one here and a $10 one here, or a $20 one here, and they're like, "What are you doing? We're gonna pause this." It happened to me a couple years ago.
Interesting.
I was like, "What the fuck?"
That's good technology, man. It could be someone hacking in, just buying games,
Right?
or your child is doing something. I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this was a short show. I have to go to work.
Time for work.
Winking the gun, my friends. Remember, stay thirsty.